In this video, we're going to take a look at the little GM emulator from Gustavo Colillo, the same author that put out Caves and Catacombs. So let's get into it. Welcome to Solitary RPG. The little GM emulator is a supplement from Gustavo Colillo full of tables and charts for you to roll on to help you play your role-playing games without a GM. It is not specifically written for solo gaming. It is also written for cooperative gaming without a GM. A PDF copy of this was sent to me from the author. However, I've already had a copy of this that I purchased in my collection because this is something I've used in the past, and it is a good supplement. So you're going to start with an introduction, kind of talking about RPGs and solo RPGs and things like that. One of the things you're going to see at the very bottom of this introduction is Gustavo also wrote Little Town, which is another RPG I have not reviewed on my channel yet. But he's stated that game was inspired by Mythic Game Master Emulator, and kind of stated that this is also inspired on that. So it's got that vibe of the Mythic Game Master Emulator. However, I feel it's far enough removed from Mythic that it doesn't feel like a clone or a copy. I think the author went in their own direction with it. Get your introduction, you're going to get the basic concepts. This is going to be a D6 system, so you're only going to be using D6s, and it talks about how to use D6s and talking about what a PC is and what an NPC is, just giving someone the understanding of the concepts of gaming. This will be a great tool for someone just getting into role-playing games, and also someone that might not be as familiar with the terminology, so it gives it all there. Going through this supplement, looking at all the tables and charts, the most dice you're ever going to roll on one of the charts in here is 4d6, so you might want to have those available. And because you are going to be rolling some d66s, you might want one of a different color or type, just to make it easier for you to separate those. Talks about what the emulator's role is. So what exactly does the emulator do? Taking over the role of the GM, answering the questions and providing that information you need that normally you would ask a game master. Talking about the importance of interpretation. Any type of solo gaming tools that are out there, they are just there to give us spark information, and we have to interpret that information and thread it into our story, and that's what they're talking about. Then a little bit of information about game structure. So it's really short and sweet, just giving some background information, and then it's going to jump right into the different mechanics. So that's what we're really going to focus on in this video, or the different things that are offered in this supplement. If you are interested, there'll be a link in the description. The first mechanic you're going to be introduced to is called time limits. This is an abstract way of looking at completing your quest. Are you getting closer to completing your quest, or are you failing to complete your quest? And the way it works is, by default, you start the time limit at 8. It can vary between 6 and 12, but when you reach 12, you have failed to complete your mission or your quest. And basically, I don't want to say you lose, but you just don't complete that quest. So depending on your game, it's hard to just throw an example out, but maybe you were supposed to find a certain document or find a certain person, and for whatever reason your time clock went up to 12 because things weren't going well, you were screwing around doing other things, or you weren't really focused on the task and you got caught up in the side quest, and the time went up, like the bad person or the thing that you're looking for went into action, and basically you failed your quest, and whatever results happen. So in theory, it's a cool little mechanic. When you read it, though, like, you don't get the full story on how to use it. It basically just says by default time limit starts at 8, but can vary between 6 and 12. When it reaches 12, you failed to complete your quest. Well, how do I adjust it? So in the back of the book, on page 28, in the appendix, it talks about time limits again, and it says, in a regular solo game, the player evaluates whether the time limit has changed, increased or decreased, at the end of an in-game day. In a cooperative game, the decision to raise or lower the time limit must be made collectively by all players. So in the back is really the rule on how you adjust your time. I'll give a little feedback. I don't understand why that is not listed here. It would have made reading this mechanic a little bit easier the first time I picked up this book, because when I first read that, I scratched my head for a little while. It wasn't until I read through the whole supplement that I was like, oh, that's how that works. So make a little note, go to page 28, and that is the rule for how you adjust your time up and down. So now that we understand that, we start at 8, it all makes a lot more sense. We finish an in-game day, which we'll talk about next. I evaluate, is my PC working towards the goal or the quest in a positive manner, getting closer. If I feel they're getting closer, like they're finding clues or they're leading in the journey and they're not getting bogged down by bad weather and things like that, I can keep the clock the same, or I can decrease it a little bit and give them that more time to get to where they're doing because they're doing the right things. If I feel they're getting caught up in side quests and they're getting bogged down by bad oracle rolls and they're getting a lot of combats and having to heal and like things, they're just not making progress towards that quest, I can increase it. And once they reach 12, they failed. Whatever they were trying to accomplish in their quest happens. Like if it's, stop the big baddie from pressing the big red button and destroying Middle Earth, whatever your adventure is, it happens. So you failed that quest, or it could be you failed this portion of a larger quest, and you maybe don't get some information you're looking for. Whatever your game is, but that's how the time limit works. But now we need to understand what an in-game day is. An in-game day is based on scenes. So when we talked about how the author was inspired by Mythic GM Emulator, scenes are a big thing in Mythic. And what the author is saying is, instead of tracking hours of a day, which I'm not a big fan of, it's just tracking scenes. And you have 6 scenes to make up your day. You start with 2 scenes in the morning, 3 scenes in the afternoon, 1 scene in the evening, giving you 6 scenes. As you complete your scenes, you are moving your time limit. So after I complete my first morning scene, I'm in mid-morning, and then after that I'm in early afternoon, and I'm going through the stages of the day from sunrise to sunset. And as I complete those scenes, my day is moving along. So it's giving me a mechanic to understand what part of the day I am, but it's not being very specific to a 24-hour clock. What is a scene, though? If you have not used Mythic and you don't understand what a scene is anything your PC's doing. Once they finish that particular thing, that's the end of a scene. A lot of people think about it from like a movie standpoint, like you're the detective in a cyberpunk game and you're sitting at your desk in the morning. So we're at like morning 2, like we're in our second scene in the morning. I've already gotten my cup of coffee and sat down, lit up a cigarette, and I'm sitting there at my desk, and the boss comes and slams a case file on my lap and says, go out to wherever and go investigate this crime. Well, in gameplay, like actual game time, it's maybe 10 minutes. Like I just rolled up a few charts, I got a case file, I looked over some information. Not a whole lot of role playing going on in that, because I'm just dealing with my boss who gave me a case file, and I'm just looking at the case file, gathering up some information, figuring out where I got to go. But that's also a scene, and it's not a long period of time. It's a short period of time in gameplay, but in reality, though, you got to be a little bit more abstract and understand it could still take, maybe that's 2 hours of that PC's time in game, looking at the case file, talking to his boss. And that's why this is more abstract, because it's basically just pulling the idea of like a scene is short and sweet for real life, like what you're doing at the moment. But in the gameplay, there's so many other things that are going on. That's what I like about it. But yeah, so when you finish your in-game day, then you're going to decide about ticking your clock up. What you're going to do also at the end of day is ask if things are going good for your PC. Are things moving along? Are they finding everything, getting good dice rolls, everything's just flowing? Well, then your next in-game day starts at 5. So when things are going good, you lower the number of scenes that you're going to have in your day. You don't start with 6 anymore. Now you get 5 scenes. And then when things are going bad, maybe you get a bonus scene. You go up to 7 because you're trying to give your PC a little bit more time during the day to find additional information, heal, or whatever they got to do. That's kind of like the chaos factor in the Mythic GM emulator, and I think that's what the author is trying to create. When you're in Mythic, as your GM, as you go up, when things are going good, you go up and you have more likelihoods of getting no results. And if things are going bad, you have more likelihoods of getting yes results. This is just dealing with time instead of dice rolls. And when things are going good, you have less time in your day to get things done. So things can get a little bit more chaotic. And if things are going bad, you have a little bit more time. So you got things to get done. It's a good concept. I like it. Now we're going to kind of jump into more charts and tables. And the first one is generating your solo quest. Here you have a table here. If you want to generate a solo quest, you'll roll 2d6. I rolled a 5. Your target is an object. And then you come over here, you roll another d6. I rolled a 4. Locate. So I'm creating a solo quest off of this table. I need to locate an object. That's where we're starting. Like, that's a great way to start a solo adventure for a game that you may just have rules and you're like, I got to go locate an object. I got to go find the sword of scar giving, and that's what I'm going to do. So I have my quest underway. Here you're going to learn about the game flow. So you're going to start your game. You're going to have your objective. What are you trying to do? Now you can roll or choose a location. So where do you need to go? You can roll on a location, which there's a great location section in this game. Establish elements to capture your character's attention on the scene, such as the weather, smells, tastes, sounds, and facial expressions. This is something I lean heavily in, giving some spark words about what the environment is like. It's really cool. Then there's this optional chart here. You can roll a d6 plus your time limits and then refer to the table here. Something I want to point out, there's a typo here. This result should be 1 to 8, not just -8, because you can't get to -8 if you're rolling d6 and adding a positive number to it. So I think it's just a little oversight, so make that correction in your book. But you can roll, so let's say our time limit is 8. We roll 4 plus 8 is 12. I'm going to roll a challenge, and then I would flip to the challenge tables in this book, and I can roll up my challenge. But that's an optional thing. If you've got a good quest and you've got some good ideas going, you don't need it. But this is more of like, I don't know what locate an object is. I need something more. You can roll on this chart. If you need to, you can roll up your NPC. And then we're going to get into your Oracle. So this game has its own Oracle system. It's pretty straightforward. It's using nothing but D6s. The first one you have is your standard yes, no Oracle. So I just need a yes, no answer. I don't want anything else. And I just want to set the odds. This is pretty old school. I've got a 1 in 6 chance that the door is locked. I roll my dice. I rolled a 6. Door's not locked. That's just a yes, no answer. Pretty straightforward. You just set your odds and you roll it. You get your answer. You move forward. However, we like to add a little bit more complexity to our game. So the authors created this other oracle, which is called likely. Still rolling a d6, but now we're going to get the no and, yes but, no but, and yes and. And this is based on odds evens. So anything odd is a no, anything even is a yes, which makes it simpler to understand. And low values are and buts, and high values are and buts, and the 3, 4 just yes and no. So you roll that, I got a 4, I just got a yes result. But we can just, here's a 5, I got a no but. So pretty straightforward system. But this is giving us a little bit more to pull from. Here, now we have another table we can use, which is called unlikelies. So what you're really doing is you're changing your odds, because now we're going to be rolling 2d6 and we have a different mechanic that we're going to use. If you roll one odd number, the answer is no. If you roll two different even numbers, the answer is yes. So I rolled an odd number, answer is no. If this was a 4, the answer would be yes. Pretty straightforward. However, there's more to this table. If you roll 1 and another odd number, it's a no and. So if I rolled a 1 and a 3, that result would be a no and. If I roll double 2s, it's yes but, double 3s maybe, double 4s maybe, double 5s no but, and 6 and an even number, so it's just the opposite of the no but, you get a yes and. So this is just really changing your odds, making it more unlikely that you're going to get the result you're looking for. So, and the author goes one step further, creating the impossible. So this is same concepts, but now we're rolling 3d6 and we're going to refer to this table. If you roll one odd number, the answer is no. If you roll 3 different even numbers, the answer is yes. Same thing as before. We're just adding another dice, changing the bell curve and making it harder. And you can have the same chart here you're going to follow. So if you have that impossible task, like I need to sneak into the dungeon and I got to pull this gem out of this trapped treasure chest, it's supposed to be impossible, but it's always possible. And that's one of the reasons we like RPG games, is it seems like an impossible task, but we're going to try anyways, and then we're going to leave our fate to the dice. And boom, if you roll one odd number, the answer is no. It didn't happen, and the trap killed my character, whatever you're playing. So that's pretty cool. And then it's going to give you a little chart here about how to interpret and understand the yes ands and the no buts and all that. So this is going to refer back to, this is a great tool for someone that's getting into the solo RPG hobby, and giving you a lot of information that you can use to help you with your games. Then it's going to give you lots of examples on how to use this Oracle system, which is great, especially for those new players. Then we're going to get into open-ended questions. These are those questions that a yes, no, and but, whatever result on an Oracle is just not enough information for us. We can pull from these tables here, giving us what I like to call spark words, to give us some kind of creative juices flowing so that we can add more detail to the result of the question. The example they give is, what does the room look like? All right, so we're going to roll a d6 for this table. So we rolled a 4 and a 5. That gives us reveal. And then we come down here to theme. We got a 1 and a 2, desire. So this room looks like reveal desire. So this could be a room that is more of an illusionist room, and it's revealing some desires of the PC or the party, or the desires of the person that you're chasing down, or the evil that is taken over wherever you're at. It's revealing some information, desire. So there could be a clue, there could be a painting, there could be some illusion. You can really dive into that and really make that room whatever you want it to be. But reveal desire, it just gives you something to pull from for your adventure. One of the things I really like about what the author did is they highlighted this 20-second rule. If in 20 seconds you don't come up with anything, either roll again or skip it. Just don't bog your game down. Great advice. Don't bog your game down trying to come up with stuff. And if you're just spending too much time and you're getting into the weeds, that's when you need to stop and just go, you know what, I'm either rolling again, or I'm going to go with my first instinct, my gut reaction, or I'm just going to move on and not describe the room or whatever you're rolling on the chart. So this is how you answer those open-ended questions, giving you more information. Again, examples, great examples, just so that the players have an understanding of how everything's supposed to work. Now we're going to come to the oracles. These are all the tables that you're going to roll on that would normally be done by the GM, coming up with all the encounters and describing certain things and creating locations and all the stuff that GM would do, all handled through tables and charts. This is something we lean heavily on as solo gamers. First one you got here is this random events. It's just a 2d6 roll. I rolled a 5. I've got an unfriendly NPC is introduced. So now you've got something to add to your game, and this can spark your adventure right off the bat. And if we go back to the section on game flow, this is, random events are one of the things you can use to just spark up your adventure. You got an unfriendly NPC, create your NPC real fast, make them unfriendly. There's your interaction right off you just started your game with a random event. But you can also just add random events to your game as you go, and you can also use the action and theme tables that we were rolling on just a second ago to give you more information to pull from. You have revelations, again, another D12 roll. This is a 6. You've been betrayed. So now you've got more of a hook to add into your adventure. Somebody you relied on, somebody that you were working with, betrayed you, sold you out, and now maybe the town guard are in the tavern looking for you to pull you away, and you've got to escape. So now you got an escape scene going on. Here we got a D6 for challenges. I rolled a 6. Social skills, deceiving a guard to gain access to a restricted area or seducing someone to gain information. So this is giving you something to challenge your PCs, giving a challenge roll that they need to make, wisdom, charisma, something like that. And just adding that to the story. First, you kind of just roll. What is the challenge my PCs are going to be faced with? I got to do social skills. Now I can create that story right now in gameplay of where got to become friendly with that unfriendly NPC. And difficulty levels, this is pretty straightforward stuff. You just roll a d6 because you don't know how difficult a certain task can be, and you just roll with it, and it makes the game a little bit easier. We have a whole list of negative consequences. This is where you're going to start rolling the 4d6 and coming up with your results. That was a 15. The PCs suffer a minor injury. So if they failed their test, let's say they were doing that social test with the unfriendly NPC, and they get punched, and that was my negative consequence, got a minor injury, broken nose, something like that. Same thing with dangers here, 4d6, 8, 10, 11. You receive a direct threat to your safety or well-being. So our unfriendly NPC is really unfriendly. Then we're going to get into NPCs. This is a whole section here just about generating your NPCs and their behaviors, and you can get all kinds of details just so that you can kind of bring that NPC to life and you can describe them. Really like this. It's pretty straightforward, pretty easy. You're just going to roll and start taking the words and build that NPC. On the second page, we're going to get more into the NPC's personality, a little bit more about how they're going to behave in game. First thing you're going to do is you're going to roll up an attitude. I rolled a 6. I got helpful. I got a modifier of 4. We can roll up 2d12 to get a mood. I got 7. Indifferent, bored, whatever. They're helpful, but they're just kind of indifferent towards the situation or the question. Motivation, I got a 2. Justice, so maybe it's a guard or something like that. Then we're going to come over here to the interaction. This table, you're going to roll a d6 plus the modifier. So I had helpful, which is a +4. So I'm going to go d6 plus 4. Puts me at 9. Offers to help. So I've got someone that's indifferent, maybe stoic in personality. They're going to be helpful. They're going to offer to help, and they just want justice. So maybe they want to seek revenge on somebody that wronged them. And then we have a location generator. One of the tables on this generator I am going to pull out and put into all of my games, and it's atmosphere. So what atmosphere is, it's just a simple d6 roll, and you just get some words to pull from to create the atmosphere of your location, from mysterious and grim and lively to peaceful to tense, just to create some sort of a mood. So when the PCs go into the location, they really have some sort of a feeling of whatever you rolled on happens. So I like this. I'm actually going to pull this out and just put it on a little card and just keep it in with all my gaming stuff. because I really like the idea of atmosphere. I don't see this a lot in oracles or tables and charts, so really impressed with that. But same thing, we start rolling, we get a 1, we got community or residential, we roll on the next one. The structure is mobile, floating, so we just start rolling on all these tables to create a location that we're going to, and that's pretty much how that works. Here we have a quick dungeon generator. This is very much in line with the dungeon generator from Caves and Catacombs. Really straightforward of, what the dungeon status is. You roll to see if you got a corridor or room. I got a corridor. Then we roll to see the size of it. Medium. You decide what medium is. Corridor contents, room contents. You just roll a d6. Treasure. And then are there any doors? And there's your dungeon room generation right there. Pretty straightforward. And then we got over here random tables. This is the next section. Additional details. So these are the same tables and charts that we rolled on for our themes. You're going to roll a d6 here. You get a 2 and a 3. We got expectations. So these are just giving you some additional details for whatever your situation is. And then we got distance. So how far away is something that we're going to? Are we going to a location? How far is that location? Is there a random encounter? How far away is that random encounter? Stuff like that. These are great tables. This whole book is just a great tool book to have out when you're playing. It's not a super thick book. It's pretty short, to the point, and you just have some fun tables to roll on just to keep you going with your game. A size of an item, the weather outside, good stuff like that. And then we flip, we just have more spark tables. We have cosmic horror, adjectives, items. We got fantasy, we got generic, we got modern. So you got some cool tables that you can just roll on for your game, and they're just short, sweet, to the point. Spark up your interest in whatever game system you're playing. And then in here we got the appendix. So this is going to get more into talking about like safety tools for gaming, because this is, even playing solo, some people need to remember you're rolling dice and you're looking at charts, and depending on what charts you're looking at, you may generate something that you're not comfortable with, and you may just want to stop. That, safety tools. Or if you're doing a cooperative game, you're just playing a game without a GM, something may get rolled up and you want to stop. So it's just talking about that kind of stuff. Just tips, information. Same thing here, just talking more about, creating characters and answering questions, things like that. Talking about how to handle scenes, especially if you're playing cooperative with other people, because everybody can take a role in creating those scenes. It doesn't just have to be put onto one person. Handling events, same thing, giving more information. How to use published adventures. And this is the thing that I am working on for my adventure for Caves and Catacombs, is creating a published adventure for the game, but for solo play. Published adventures are sometimes challenging to play. This is giving you a table to roll on, so that if you are in a published adventure and you have that information because you've read it or you've seen it. Once you've seen it, you've seen it. You can't unsee it. So it's just giving you a table. That way, if you have that information, you can alter that scene, or just go as it's written. Something to work on with a published adventure. I really like that. And then you have an index. So that was my flip through and talk about the little GM Emulator. I think this is a great little supplement, especially for those that are new to the hobby. Instead of going out and buying the countless books that get talked about on all the different YouTube channels, which they're all great. I love having all those options. This is a good starting point for anybody, because it has everything you need for creating your NPCs and your locations, spark tables. It's got an oracle built into it. And just so that the art is all public domain art. And one of the things I do like about the art and the way everything was done is the color choice. It's got that pinkish purplish color to it, which just kind of sets everything apart from what you normally see in art. Mostly, you see a lot of black and white type art. I just like the use of a different color. But yeah, it's just a good tool, and it's got tips and advice to get you started. And just like anything, when you're getting into playing your solo games, just go through the process. It's going to take time. It's going to be slow. Read through it, understand how the mechanics work, put yourself in some situations so you can roll some dice and create some stuff, and just get your game going. And this is just a good all-in-one tool book that you can use for your gaming. And then as time goes on, you'll explore other tools, and maybe you'll supplement some of the Spark tables with Spark tables that are more inspirational for you, or maybe you have an NPC generator that works better for your taste, or different oracles. But it's a good starting point. Thank you for watching, and have a great day. Bye.